Elias Thorne had always believed that time was not a river but a machine, one that clicked, stuttered, and occasionally broke. He knew this because he'd been repairing timepieces since he was 7 years old, long before he understood that people too could be rewound or stopped altogether. Skyridge was a small village perched on the edge of the Oran Mountains, where the wind howled like a restless spirit and the streets smelled of pine and storm rain. Elias's shop stood crooked at the very end of the cobbled lane. It was a narrow place, stuffed wall to wall with clocks, brass, oak, glass, tiny enough to balance on a fingertip or large enough to tower over a man. Each ticked in its own rhythm, yet somehow the room remained harmonious, like 100 hearts beating in unison. But the townsfolk didn't come to Elias merely for clock repair. They came because Elias had a gift. He could hear time. Not the tick of a gear or the pendulum swing, but the time running through a person, their past humming like a faint melody, their future crackling like static just beyond comprehension. He never spoke of this gift. Skyridge was a place where the strange was quietly accepted but never named, and for years Elias lived quietly, mending clocks and watching time unfold like frost across a window pane, until the day the girl arrived. Chapter 1. The Girl Who Didn't Belong. The storm had been brewing all afternoon, boiling over the mountains in bruised shades of violet. Thunder rolled low like a great beast clearing its throat. Elias was closing his shutters when the bell above his door chimed. A girl stepped inside. She was maybe 17, with hair black as ink and eyes too bright for such a gloomy evening. She wore a gray traveling cloak soaked through with rain. In her hands she carried a clock, an old ornate pocket watch with silver filigree curling like vines around its casing. But the moment Eli saw it, he froze. The watch wasn't ticking, not broken, silent. Dead. And yet, he could hear something. A hum, faint and wrong, like a heartbeat struggling to start. "Are you Elias Thorne?" the girl asked, her voice soft but steady. He nodded. She held out the watch. "I need you to fix this, please." Elias took it gingerly, feeling the strange wrongness vibrate through his fingertips. "Where did you get this?" "My father left it for me," she said. "Before he disappeared." "How long ago?" 3 days. Elias frowned. People disappeared from Skyridge sometimes. The mountains were unforgiving, and the forest had secrets of their own. But he sensed this wasn't the ordinary type of disappearance. "What's your name?" he asked. "Arya." A simple name, but the syllables echoed in the air as though tugged along by a breeze he couldn't feel. Elias turned the watch over, examining its back. There were delicate etchings, geometric, sharp, too precise for a craft made by human hands. His stomach knotted. He'd only seen this kind of craftsmanship once before, from the Nightfall Order. Chapter 2. Time's Shadow. The Nightfall Order had been a legend when Elias was a child. Clockmakers who shaped time, not measured it. They were said to manipulate events with mechanical precision, weaving fate like thread. Some called them sorcerers. Others said they were keepers of balance. And a few whispered they were monsters. Elias had once encountered a man carrying a Nightfall timepiece. The man's future had screamed so loudly that Elias could barely breathe. 3 days later, the man had been found in the woods, frozen solid despite the summer heat. Elias forced himself to remain calm. "This watch, it's not like others." Arya nodded. "I know." She stepped closer. "When I wind it," she whispered, "I see things." Elias's breath caught. "Visions? Memories, but not mine, my father's. And sometimes things that haven't happened yet." The wind outside slammed against the shutters. Somewhere in the shop, a clock chimed even though it wasn't the hour. Elias ran a thumb over the watch's dial. "Arya, you need to understand, this isn't broken, it's resisting you. Watches like this obey only one master. Can you help me or not?" she asked, desperation cracking her voice. Elias hesitated. "No," he said honestly. "I can't fix it." Her face fell. "But I can teach you to." Chapter 3. Lessons in Silence. Over the next 3 days, Arya returned to the shop at dawn and stayed until the last clock dimmed in the evening. Elias taught her everything he knew about gears, mainsprings, balance wheels, escapements. But repairing the watch was something entirely different. Its components rearranged themselves when she touched them, resisting conventional methods. At night, Arya slept in the small attic room above the shop. Elias would hear her tossing or whimpering in her sleep. Once he caught a glimpse of her standing by the window, staring into the valley. When the first light of dawn touched the village of Marinth, its soft golden glow revealed a single figure standing at the edge of the dirt path. Eshan Verma, a young traveler searching for places untouched by time. His leather pack hung heavy on his back, filled with notebooks, maps, and the restless curiosity that had driven him from town to town. Today, however, his curiosity pointed him in one direction only: the Whispering Woods, a forest the villagers avoided with an almost sacred fear. Everyone warned him. "People go in," said the elderly blacksmith, "but they don't always come out. The forest has moods," whispered a shopkeeper. "If it likes you, it lets you pass. If it doesn't—" She stopped there, trembling. But Eshan was not the kind of man who turned his back on mysteries. On the contrary, mysteries were the very reason he traveled. And so, ignoring the villagers' fearful glances, he tightened the strap of his pack and stepped onto the old path that led into the forest. The entrance to Whispering Woods didn't look frightening at first. Sunlight speckled through the canopy. Wildflowers leaned over the path. Birds sang in cheerful notes. Yet something felt wrong almost immediately. As Eshan crossed the boundary marked by two ancient willow trees, the air shifted, became cooler, heavier. He felt as though he had passed through an invisible curtain, leaving the world he knew behind. He took a deep breath and kept walking. With every step, the forest grew quieter. The chirping birds vanished. The wind stopped rustling the leaves. Even the crunch of twigs beneath his boots seemed muffled, swallowed by the dense silence. Only then did Eshan understand why the villagers called this place Whispering Woods. Because every step echoed like a faint voice. Every rustle sounded like a breath. Every shadow held the shape of something half-seen. Still, he pressed on, determined to map this forbidden forest and bring truth to the legends. After an hour of walking, Eshan paused at a fork in the path. One trail wound uphill toward a series of moss-covered rocks. The other dipped into a shadowed hollow. He took the left path. But after 15 minutes of steady climbing, he noticed something strange. The rocks ahead, identical in shape and color, had appeared before. Impossible, he thought. He checked his compass. The needle spun wildly, refusing to settle. "This can't be real," he muttered. He retraced his steps, walking back down the trail, only to find himself at the same fork again. Except now the fork looked different. The right path curved steeply upward, and the left led into darkness. The forest was rearranging itself. A chill crept into Eshan's bones. He turned sharply, intending to leave. But the entrance path was no longer behind him. In its place stood a wall of tall black trees, their trunks twisted as if grown overnight. He was trapped. Eshan forced himself to stay calm. He opened his notebook and made the first entry. "The forest is alive." Not metaphorically truly alive. As he wrote, a faint whisper drifted through the air. "Eshan!" He froze, pen trembling in his hand. The whisper came again, softer this time, like a breeze forming words. "Come deeper." "No," he told himself. "It's just the wind." But there was no wind. The air was still. He closed his notebook quickly and began walking again, not following any path, just choosing the direction where the trees seemed less dense. He pushed through low branches, stepped over tangled roots, and forced his way through ferns taller than his waist. The whisper followed him. Sometimes it was behind him, sometimes ahead, sometimes so close he felt it brush the back of his neck. He tried calling out, "Who's there?" But his own voice sounded swallowed, tiny compared to the enormous silence pressing in from all sides. Hours passed, the forest seemed endless. Then suddenly, as he pushed through another wall of undergrowth, Eshan stumbled into an open space. It was a village, or rather what remained of one. Broken huts sagged with age. A stone well lay cracked at the center. Vines crawled over rooftops. It looked centuries abandoned. Yet something felt unsettlingly recent. A cooking pot still hung above a cold fire pit. A child's wooden toy sat in the dirt, half buried but clean, as though recently handled. Eshan's heart hammered. "What happened here?" he whispered. A faint crying sound drifted through the air. He followed it cautiously to the largest hut. The doorway hung open. Ignoring his rising fear, Eshan stepped inside. The crying stopped instantly. The air grew cold. Then, bang! The door slammed shut behind him. He spun around, breathing hard. "Hello?" he called. No answer. But when he turned back toward the room, a dark figure stood in the far corner. Eshan stumbled backward, his voice shaking. "Who are you?"